So Jani, I know that you do some hunting that I've always aspired to do, but I don't even know where to start, which is like hunting lions, hunting mountain lions.
And
I mean, you just run behind your dog? Like, how do you keep up?
So now, it used to be like that, and that's the reason that hounds make a lot of noise on the track, because you would listen to where they were, you know, in the hills or wherever. It doesn't matter if it's a lion dog, raccoon dog. Now with electronics, he wears a GPS collar, and when we cut him loose on a track, we literally, a lot of times, just sit there until he's done doing his job, meaning he's treed a lion or he's at a loss. And then I might go to him to try to help him figure out where to pick it up again.
When it is time to like actually go after him, he'll hold that animal there. It's not going anywhere once he actually gets the tree.
His job and what he loves to do is sit at the base of a tree and bark at whatever he's caught.
So let's talk about the actual meat itself, because I think there's this huge misconception that this is throwaway meat. My understanding and my experience is that that's not true at all.
No, again, I've only eaten probably roughly one mountain lion between my family and I.
Right.
It's been very pork-like, very mild in flavor. If you think about the mountain lion's diet, I mean, they're only eating fresh meat, so why would their meat taste bad?
I've only ever eaten mountain lion one time, and I've never cooked it before. So I realized that normally in MeatEater Cooks, my job is to kind of help teach somebody how to do something special. Today, I think we're gonna be taking this journey together. So hopefully it's gonna turn out.
I have complete faith in whatever we'll do with it.
Well, the same as me, I believed everything you just said about hunting lions. So there's a mutual trust there. So you can just believe that when I say, no, we're gonna do this, it's because it's gonna produce this result. That may or may not be true, but we'll just see.
As long as we get to eat something that's warm and that warms us up.
It's not exactly a snowy weather dish, but hopefully it's one that, you know, still will warm us up a little bit. So
cool.
You want to get to work on it?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Last time when you and I cooked together, we made probably one of the most complicated dishes, maybe the single most complicated dish we've ever made in MeatEater Cooks.
Yeah, that thing had 100 ingredients.
Yeah, this one has like 7 ingredients. So this is a very different thing, and I'm assuming that if we apply the same sort of technique that we would to feral hogs, we're gonna end up with something good. With a wild animal, the loin or the backstrap is tough to not dry out. You know, it's just not a forgiving cut. Usually you can work around that by not overcooking it. Unfortunately, with a mountain lion, that's not an option. This thing has to be cooked till it's fully cooked. Otherwise, well, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with trichinosis. So we're gonna
trichinosis, I can tell you, only lasts like 5 to 10 years.
Okay, excellent. Oh, right, yeah.
I've already been there and done that.
Well, I want to make sure this thing is fully cooked. And so we're gonna have to do some stuff to ensure that the moisture stays in this piece of meat. We're gonna put loads of fat on the inside so that when it cooks, that interior fat is basting it, and then we're gonna put something fatty on the outside as well, so that really we're bringing fat to a dish that doesn't have it otherwise. Okay, so this is gonna start with a roll cut. And so what that means is we're gonna take this thing that's sort of a cylinder, and we're gonna cut it in a way that we can open it up, a bit like a scroll, so that we can then stuff it and then roll it back up on itself. I'm gonna start by making a pretty shallow cut along this little piece right here. And so that's kind of our start point. That's where we're gonna attempt to keep that thickness kind of the rest of the time here. So now we're gonna start working sideways. By making it thin, that gives us more surface area to spread more fat so that when we roll it back up on itself, we have a lot of, you know, basically stuffing or sausage in there. Once you kind of unravel it, it looks kind of insane. I'm gonna use this just to kind of pound this out just a little bit. So it is a very pretty piece of meat though. We just pounded it out only enough so that it's really, really even. It's not to get it any flatter. This is plenty flat enough. And then the next thing we're gonna do here, this is just basic, like really cheap breakfast sausage, like that you'd get at the standard grocery store. I want us to be able to get that mountain lion taste, but I want all of this fat to melt. So how big was this mountain lion? Like when you harvested it, how big was it?
You know, I actually did not harvest this one. I have yet to harvest one. I think so far we've just been, I don't know if you want to call it unlucky or lucky, but we've only harvested females, or sorry, we've only treed females. So I'm looking for a mature tom. And I want a nice representation of the species.
Yeah.
You know.
So where did this come from then?
So my buddy just kind of calls out of the blue late one day, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I got a lion. You know, we're not keeping the meat. You want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so I come home, and there is a mountain lion carcass that's been skinned sitting on my back porch.
So we got our sausage on here.
Yep.
We got our loin sort of spread out. The next ingredient is really just absurd, which is pepper jack cheese. And so now the challenge is rolling this back up on itself.
What could possibly make this more ridiculous?
Well, I'm glad you asked, sir. We're gonna make a bacon lass. That little bit of additional moisture that it's gonna release will actually speed up the cooking process on the grill for us.
Now, do you at all feel like, because Steve in the past has kind of complained sometimes when like all these wild game recipes are just like, just wrap it in bacon,
Everything wrapped in bacon.
It'll taste great.
Yeah. The problem is that a lot of people use it as a crutch for bad cookery. But there's nothing wrong with, you know, doing something like this, which is effectively like a means of larding something or, you know, adding that additional fat. That's a very, I would say, a very traditional and time-tested, you know, cooking technique.
Sure, sure.
This bacon is going to allow us to have something that's going to be a lot more moist on the outside. And we're going to use our rolling pin again to kind of flatten this out and get it a little bit thinner. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's a thing of beauty right there.
It's pretty. Last step here is to roll this thing up.
That's a thing of beauty, Kevin.
It's pretty nice, man. And obviously, as you saw, like I didn't try to like roll this under. These ends, I just kind of crimp them down, almost like, to me, they look like a hard candy. There's no reason to like tie it up or anything. Just kind of smash them down, and it'll seal it in here. And now we just have this.
So no
nice
butcher's twine needed.
No, it's not
this
needed.
Is contained.
Yeah, it's gonna stay. Like, it'll change its shape a little bit as it cooks, but not as much as you think it would. If we put this in like a 400-degree oven. Yeah, because then stuff would shrink really rapidly. But our smoker is set at 250 degrees, and this should probably take about 90 minutes to cook on the smoker at that temp, because we're gonna pull it off the smoker at 140.
Well, what's the temp you're looking to hit to kill the trichinella?
It's what I have been told is that if you can sustain 137 even for just a few minutes, that you're gonna kill it. Let's grab this thing, take it outside, throw it on the smoker. All right, so the end product is gonna be a sandwich. And it's kind of in an extremely loose way modeled after like a barbecued, like a pulled pork sandwich from the South. We're gonna create a very Frankenstein kind of topping because I have this idea that I want to incorporate another classic Southern dish called pimento cheese. We're gonna add a little bit of cheese to our coleslaw, but mostly just to make it creamier, but also to add like a little bit of spice to it. The first thing I need to do is chop up some cabbage here. So, all right, a little bit of chopped cabbage, a pretty significant amount of salt.
Wow. Okay.
And the same of sugar. Now, this would be nuts if we left all this in, but the reason that we're doing this right now is to purge this cabbage. So this is just gonna sit over to the side for a second, and it's actually gonna start to release its liquid. We're gonna get some of that water to come out of it in advance. But you can see it's already starting to get wet on the outside. That's what we're looking for here. Let's go ahead and add a red onion to it. And go in here. And I'm gonna cut this up a little bit smaller than the cabbage pieces. So we'll just chuck our red onion here in our bowl. Now my memory from the last time we worked together is that you're not averse to spicy food, right?
Not at all.
Yeah, excellent. We're gonna have a little bit of heat to this. Not a ton, it's not gonna be super hot, but we do have some pickled jalapenos, which I'm a big fan of.
And you're still thinking that through all of this, we're gonna be able to take a bite and go, that's mountain lion.
Well, I don't know, man. Do you think you can taste a mountain lion blindfolded and go, that's mountain lion? Or do you think you're gonna go, that's pork, that's feral hog, that's the million dollar
I've never
question.
done a blind taste test
Yeah.
between those two.
I think what we are doing and what we will be able to taste is that because we added so many very savory elements, I think that the actual mountain lion meat itself is gonna taste extra sweet because it'll be in such hard contrast to these other much more aggressively seasoned things. So we got our jalapeno in here, we got our onion in here. We're gonna take some of our actual like pepper jack cheese, not loads and loads of it, probably about yay much. We're gonna take some mayo. We'll add just a little hot sauce and some pepper and stuff like that to it, really just kind of doctor it up. So now, I know you didn't harvest this lion, and you haven't harvested one yet, but obviously you guys have been putting in a lot of work, you and Mingus.
That's right.
How old is Mingus? I don't even remember.
He's 3 now. He just turned 3 like November 1st-ish.
So how many lions has he kind of been on, even if they were female?
I want to say he's at like 14 or 15 trees, you know, meaning like he's been under 15 trees and looked up and seen a lion.
So he's getting, I mean, he's got to be getting pretty close to what you would consider, you know, really proficient, like ready to go.
You know,
right?
it's hard for me to consider anything because I only have, you know, a few more lion trees than Mingus does under my belt. What's interesting is that getting into this, you get into it, I think, because you're like, oh wow, mountain lions. But then soon after, you're like, oh no, this is all about training Mingus and seeing what he'll do and what he'll become, seeing the progression. So doing things like when we're out there on the track, and if he loses it, to see him just start doing circles around where he lost it, and trying to keep hunting and trying to figure out where the out track is.
And so you think he's definitely progressing and getting better?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So I have cheese, mayo, chopped onion, chopped jalapeno, some black pepper, and then I added this stuff. This is a hot sauce that I developed for MeatEater. I think you've had this before, the fire breather hot sauce.
Yeah, I've eaten a couple bottles of it.
I personally think it can use some more of this, so I'm gonna hit a little bit more in here. And by a little bit, I mean, I don't know, 2 more tablespoons. My version of a little bit. And then more black pepper, which is kind of the quintessential seasoning to pimento cheese. Now grab that cabbage. Let's take a look at it and see what it looks like here. It definitely has lost some of its liquid. You can see, like, you know, when I squeeze it, like how much water comes off of it.
Okay.
And then we're gonna chuck that in. And you see if it's got enough salt, sugar.
I don't even need the sandwich. I could just sit around and eat this bowl
pretty good.
of coleslaw.
This is pretty good. We're gonna glaze the meat in this barbecue sauce. We're gonna have a really nice like mix of flavors here. So let's just chuck this in the fridge, let it sit. Honestly, we have time to chill out because we need that to sit on the smoker for 90 minutes probably.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of a break and then we'll come back and check it out. Thank you very much. That was pretty nice.
Oh, I'd say.
Hopefully we won't lose all
Your
of the cheese.
lattice turned into just one perfect layer of bacon.
Well, that's the goal, is that the lattice is just to keep everything intact, but it looks nice and shiny. It's got a nice lacquer on it. Hopefully it came out good. So we pulled it at 145. It's gonna carry over probably 10 more degrees. Trichinosis is not the issue here. It's the ground meat on the inside of it. The fact is we used commercially ground sausage and there's always the risk of contamination, and it's better to get that up to 155 to eat it. You wanna build a sandwich?
Heck yeah.
All right, so let's go with a little bit of our barbecue sauce here on the bottom bun. And by a little bit, I mean slathered. So then a little bit of our slaw on the top here. All right. Give her a look-see. Look at that. Man, this looks incredible. And the cheese stayed in place. I'm so excited about this.
But as you cut, it's oozing out.
Yeah, that's what we want, man. That looks so good. And look at how like nice and rosy that is. That still looks super, super juicy. Cheers, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Get after it. That's not the worst thing I've ever eaten.
No, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Got a lot of complexity for effectively like elevated junk food. What I like about it is that you actually can taste like sort of the 3 distinctive layers. Like you get the sweet barbecue sauce right out of the gate. Like that hits you first. But then the meat is super savory, and then you get like a nice bite from the slaw. You're double slawing it.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a bad idea.
No, I love your pimento slaw so much.
If I had to do it all over again, honestly, and we had just a little bit more mountain lion meat, I'd rather have made a sausage out of it. I think that would have been the more pure approach to it. We just didn't have enough meat to do that. The bacon doesn't show up. It did exactly what we wanted it to do, which is just keep it nice and moist, protect it from the heat. But I love the sweet sauce. I love the slaw. You know, I'm gonna do an extra slaw run myself here because I like the bite of it, and that's what I was going for.
But I'd have no problem if somebody just gave me a couple slices of that on my plate next to some vegetables and a starch.
We've been working on it all day. That's the bane of the cook, is that you get done cooking it and you don't really want to eat it. I'm definitely not letting this go to waste. Yeah, I'm gonna polish this one off. It's special, man. Like, it's not every day you get to eat mountain lion. And honestly, I've had a chance to cook mountain lion and bighorn sheep with you. Two of the things that I probably would have never had a chance to work with. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. What gets me is that how much of this meat is discarded and people don't even give it a chance.
Right.
If you had this, you're gonna be a fan.
This is fantastic.
A lot of times with this wild game, we act surprised that it tastes good.
Yeah, right.
Right? And there's no reason to be surprised.
I know, and it's honestly like if we do anything at MeatEater, I hope it's that we tell people convincingly that this isn't something that we've had to make delicious. It started delicious. Totally. All we are doing is being respectful of the best ingredients anybody can get their hands on. And these are, in fact, that. It takes a lot of work to have this on the dinner table, which just makes it extra special.
At the bare minimum, Mingus and I are gonna kill our first line together this year, and I'll get you a quarter. How's that?
There you go. I like that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, my friend. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Back to this sandwich.